So is this the first time you was for the north?
Oh my gosh, there's so many times. I've got
And then you tell me.
snow.
She was.
Yeah, but yeah, but it's obviously
The ones that I played before, they support them.
I ski games. All I do is fall.
Right, yeah.
But yeah,
Did you bring some female? Were you carrying another one?
Yeah.
Yes, still am cool.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So I was born in Africa. My family is from Togo. But I came here when I was 5. Yeah, so at home I spoke Italy, but at school I spoke Spanish, so my English is fine. I should go.
No, I'm saying you should have brought some.
Oh yeah.
Live right now.
Yeah.
Tax revenue. Well, it's actually, we live across just outside the road.
All the animals. I did see
The best view is on one side.
How are the still caring about paper?
No, I haven't.
Away at the yard.
Timbo.
No,
Oh yeah.
You want a yard, yes, and you want a yard, you want it. Good. They say no.
Thank you. And this is
And this is my question.
yeah.
Where you at?
Then, okay, I'm very nice.
Hi, I'm Lily.
How long?
Oh, nice to meet you. So which organization?
We're just
The neighbors.
All right.
We're from Wilberforce, Bountiful. Not that far away, unless it's fighting right by the park.
That's right.
It's crazy.
The traffic.
From the mountain, that's 50 from south of, it's crazy. We're gonna leave really early, and a little bit, we're gonna have to go out, but not so much.
Yeah, it's it's like, I work just, I'm for 20 hours.
Oh.
And if I'm not in the shower, it's like 15 minutes. During rush hour, it's over an hour. I was like, I don't understand.
Well, our office is at 53rd, so I get on going north, and it's not a problem, but literally I can see the other side stop at 53rd, just kind of barely moving or stop every 4, 5, 6 o'clock. It's
So
so
like that, actually, when I was.
Friday night's probably also a little bit worse than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was one of the houses, so, yeah, that's how.
Like, the Coafrica thing, or it's just accountants. It's super.
And just move on.
Yeah.
The ranger.
How's it going? Yes.
But if you need yourself.
I guess it's been a lot of years. My dad was a principal. But those are fun. First grade, second.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is the first year they had all, most of them had all their papers.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that you typically do.
People would be kind of, yeah.
So that's good.
That's good.
If there was a year to go to first grade, it's just was because their test scores going in just higher, because they had all their. Yeah. for the most part. I only did that one times a day.
My sister was like the first to kindergarten. I was like,
Oh, boy.
these all things.
Yes.
So hard. Little kindergarten. So, they're just falling asleep in their desks.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I hate to feel like you're in Sunday school class, but I have everybody kind of get close. People on the couch.
I'll get like in the middle.
All right, and let's see, you're gonna be better off right here, I think, if you can come up here, that distance. Okay. All right. Well, we're grateful that you've come out. We're actually trying to live stream this. It's actually been just a tiny bit. That's perfect. You're good to go. Okay. All right. So thank you for coming. It's a small group, and that's always best. So Coafrica, we started basically in 2019, and what it is the Co in Coafrica stands for coalition. And really what we're here tonight to talk about is why we like coalitions. And we have a fantastic coalition partner, Matthias, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But so grateful for him and for the opportunity that's giving us as Coafrica to be able to expand and support education in Africa. So just really quick as a reminder, our vision is a world where every child has access to a classroom, and our mission is to unleash the power of education for African children by partnering with local communities to construct classrooms. And so that's what we do in a nutshell. And we basically have been doing 12 classroom blocks, where there's 4 classrooms in each block. So we're doing about 48 a year. And it's really been a humbling experience to see that. And so really we're grateful to be able to have you here with us and to talk about that. And I think when we talk about kind of our objective for you tonight is to walk away with a desire to be more Christ-like. That's really the bottom line. And we love what we do, and we love to share what we do. And if you like what we do, that's great. But in all cases, we hope that you find a greater heart, a greater warmth to be able to do more. And I went there in 2020 in February, and I kind of had health problems from September 2020 through 2020 and 2023. So that experience over there, I've visited about 25 schools in 3 different countries, and I did not see a piece of paper other than the piece of paper that says we have 23 girls and 24 boys in first grade. So the teacher's room has just one piece of paper. I didn't see a piece of paper. So they have a chalkboard, and the kids, and what goes up on the chalkboard is very much like what you see in the US. Very intricate stuff on science. I'm not a science person, and when I'm looking at the board, I'm giving them the same looks I gave my 8th grade teachers. And so they have the ability, the kids have the ability to learn. But anyway, so tonight, Matthew Zimba, he's got a great portfolio of what he's done in his life. And he's, first of all, a great example to us. And so what Matthias, he lives in Zambia, excuse me, and it's actually over on the eastern side. And so let me just read what I have here. So he's most important to us, but not to him, is he's our project coordinator for all of our Zambian program things we do going forward. And so we're grateful for that. And he's very qualified for that. And this is why we talk about coalitions. So we as Americans, we know a lot, and we're really smart. So we understand everybody's problems all over the world, and we can go tell them how to do things. And so one of the premises of this coalition is to understand, and really another really tenet that's really important to us is we're here to have Africans help Africans. And we facilitate that primarily through financial means and through doing validation checks and confirmation that our partners, our coalition partners, are people that are to be trusted and to do those things that really benefit our society. Anyway, so Matthias, just a real quick, so 2 years ago, Matthias, we had built one school in Zambia before we met Matthias, and this was in 2021. And Matthias knew about that school had been built, so he actually contacted us 2 years ago, and last year we started building a school, and he was our program manager, and he managed the construction of the school and the oversight, which is huge. So we're not much good. We're a long ways away from Zambia. And so Matthias identified the school and his qualifications for identifying the school. So he has 26 years practical experience in social development programs in Zambia, project and program development and delivery, including monitoring and evaluating school feeding programs, access to financial services, sustainable forestation, HIV and AIDS prevention, clean water, sanitation, gender equality, women's rights, and micro enterprise development projects. Is there anything else that you could possibly be doing? I think that kind of covers all the major issues that really exist there. And the reason for that is because Matthias is the executive director, the founder of Rising Fountains Development Program, which is what his shirt shows there. And he started this nonprofit and primarily volunteers his time to help coordinate nonprofit efforts. And so they have all those programs from all those various areas for 2 major districts in Zambia. And those 2 districts happen to be where the highest poverty is. And so from my American viewpoint, what I see in Africa is when you go to the big cities have all the things that schools are mainly there for them. And when you leave the city is when you leave the government helping the kids in the schools. They do provide teachers, but as far as facilities go, it's a nightmare. And so there's 93 million kids that are out of school in Africa. And so what we do is we try to provide a reason for that. And so this year, and we'll have Matthew show pictures, but we have changed the dynamic of what the kids do, and they'll talk about what the outcome is. So in addition to that, Matthias is the director over programs for Mary's Mills, MARYS and MEALS. And what that is when you look it up in the United States, there's 13 million, and I think there's about 30 million of annual money provided from the England organization as well. So there's $43 million, and what that is that's money to provide to pay for porridge. For the Mary's Mills puts that into schools. So what they do is Mary's Mills has a very refined process and defines who gets the porridge. And so you go through and you have to make sure you understand what it is that they have, what qualifications, and if they qualify and they're in the area where Mary's Mills works, then they provide food. Matthews and I both went down to Salt Lake today and went through Welfare Square, and they talk about which country was it? Do you remember? Ethiopia in 2004 had a food shortage, and the church converted their dairy stuff to this porridge and provided like 800 tons of porridge to Ethiopians. Mary's Mill in Zambia provides how much a month?
900 metric tons per month.
900 metric tons per month. So that's where the $43 million is going, and it's not just in Zambia. You're in
Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique now, Liberia, Kenya, and we also in the Ecuador and other countries in the Caribbean and Asia.
Great. So Matthews, this kind of got thrown together really late because Matthews, I didn't know about this, but his Rising Fountain organization has an agreement with University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and they were sending him over this last week. And so I found out about it and said, well, we're going to send him from Chapel Hill to the best place in the world. And so he gets to see our mountains and our beauty and BYU. And he gets to see BYU football tomorrow, whether he wants to or not. So that's what we're excited for. So let's welcome Matthews and give him a warm welcome tonight. All right, Matthews. Let's see, so we can go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for having me here in Yoga. It's a nice place. I went to the mountains yesterday. It was very nice. Yeah, and the temple square is very amazing actually, and I'm happy to be here. And thank you so much for hosting me. And maybe before I come to this presentation, I just want to talk a bit about Rising Fountains Development Program, which is a partner of Coafrica. So we are a local organization based in Zambia, and so that I don't lose my focus. So our vision as Rising Fountains is actually to see to it that women and children in Zambia live healthy lives, and so that is our target group. And so we do this by implementing a number of interventions. And so the first intervention that we are focusing on is actually contributing to improving primary health care at community level. We are working on improving education outcomes in schools. That is where Coafrica comes in to partner with us. We are also looking at improving and promoting financial inclusion amongst the women and men that do not have access to financial services at community level. But like what we heard, we are also implementing activities to do with gender equality, forest, sustainable forest management and livelihood. So these are basically our main focus areas. And so I want to talk about the education outcomes as our main topic today. And before I
Matthews,
my
can you
presentation,
switch spots? Can you sit here and I will help manage your computer?
okay.
That's great. Did you want to show the video now?
And maybe before, yeah, I think we can show a video before I start talking.
Okay.
Yeah, so we partnered with Coafrica and we built a school. So there's a short video that I want to show about our impact in Zambia.
Of course, another focus area for Rising Fountains Development Program is actually improving basic education through providing care and support for orphans and vulnerable children.
At Rising Fountain, we've got two focus areas where we are working on. The first one, we are working with orphans and vulnerable children, where we are helping vulnerable children through distribution of books, uniforms, pencils. We are also paying school fees for vulnerable children.
With a total population of 200 pupils, Mkuzeni Primary School in Mambwe District has been grappling with limited learning spaces since its inception in 2002. The pupils at this school have been enduring lessons in temporary shelters that are unfit for learning. However, the Rising Foundation Development Program, with funding from Coafrica, has constructed a 1x4 classroom block. The Province Minister Peter Piri graced the handover ceremony.
I am happy to report that the number of pupils in schools from early childhood education to grade 12 in the province in 2023 increased to 711,176 from 643,343 in 2022, representing a 10.5% increase.
It is goal and hope that the provision of good learning facility motivated in the Kusini area will be able to access primary education, which is the foundation for a child's development. Therefore, collaboration between RFDP Zambia and Coafrica seeks to give children a chance to get quality education by providing a safe and conducive environment.
It should have enough textbooks. It should have sufficient teachers and staff and administration. There should be enough toilets. Please do your part. This is a government school, and therefore the government should also bring what is missing to Mkuzeni.
Zanis, Mambwe District is the province.
So we just wanted to show you what we've done in Zambia. I expected you to give us a hand of applause, of course.
One thing really quick, that Marcy is our director, and she's unfortunately has a freshman at Utah State, and it's parent night, so she's really here. But when she did that, Mathis, what was the result of her This was on a live TV broadcast, was it?
It was on national TV.
Yeah, and so what did the government do?
Yeah, so when we actually handed over the school, during the handover ceremony, Mercy and myself, we told government, we have done our part. Okay, we have given you a classroom block, and the school doesn't have desks. So do your part as government. And immediately when Mercy spoke, the district education board secretary who's in charge of education in that district actually stood up and said, we are promising to bring in 120 desks next week. And the following week, those are the desks you've seen actually in the video were brought to the school. So I want to mention why, before I come to this presentation, why are we doing what we are doing with Coafrica in Zambia? And so that all of us will know why we are doing this. Okay. Okay, so according to World Bank, Zambia adult literacy rate is very, very high. Okay, and according to statistics, it shows that 87.5% of the people in Zambia were actually illiterate. We are illiterate. This means that 7% of the 7.5% of the people aged 15 and older can read and write very short, simple statements about their daily lives. So we can tell that illiteracy levels in Zambia are very high. Child literacy, however, the percentage of children who are illiterate remains very high. And in 2015, 65% of grade 2 students scored 0 on the early grade reading assessment, meaning they could not read any weight. Okay, and female illiteracy levels are also quite high in the country. Okay, so this is why we come in actually as NGOs to ensure that we solve this problem. What can we do in order to improve education outcomes in Zambia? And so one of the interventions that we are doing to improve education outcomes in Zambia is to provide learning spaces to the school, to children who do not have actually proper learning spaces in Zambia. And so this is the reason why we promote construction of classrooms in Zambia in order to provide adequate, conducive environment for learners to learn from, so that they can actually concentrate in school, they can participate, and at the end of the day, they can progress and finish their education and contribute to the development of the country. So, Kuzieni Primary School had 3 shelters. Have you seen that one before? The shelter. So when I went there one of these fine days, when I went to do my monitoring visits, because I think I also work with Mary's Meals, then I visited the school, and those are the shelters I found at school. And then I was very touched and said, what is it that I can do in order to help this school? Then Coafrica came in my mind. I said, no, there are people who can help, I think. So that's how I started communicating with Coafrica, and that is how we agreed to build the school in Mabwe district at Kozeni, and we handed over the school in June, and Mercy, of course, came down to Africa, to Africa to come and hand over the school. So, of course, this is the history of African Classroom Coalition, and we are saying coalition or partnership are very, very important, because without partners, of course, Coafrica cannot, they are not in Zambia. They are not in Africa, you are here. Ourselves, we are not here, we are in Zambia. So collaboration and partnership is very, very important, because then we can achieve the goal that we want to achieve if we actually collaborate. So our work as Rising Fountains Women Program is anchored on actually building partnership with a lot of organizations that provide support to the learners. And so that is how that's the importance of actually of partnerships. So of course, this is the history of Coafrica 176 classrooms built, which is actually a huge milestone for Coafrica. 2,000 plus students impacted, 42 projects, and hundreds of villages engaged. This is actually a very big milestone. We'll move to the next slide.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a correction. Ghana is not down south. It's actually up here in the north.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a
The
picture.
arrows are those.
That's Zimbabwe.
Oh, yeah.
I think Zimbabwe, yeah, those three bottom arrows are the three arrows
Oh, yeah.
that are pointing in the right direction. But so we're in these different countries doing similar things to what we have here. Let's see.
So that is me when we just started building that nice structure that you've seen. So I was actually in the foundation, and those were the builders at the site. And before we started constructing, we did a soil testing, because this area is actually in the valley close to South Luangwa National Park, so the soils are not stable. So for us to build a building which is to actually stand the test of time, we thought of actually doing soil testing to ascertain the soil structure, and so that we know what interventions we can do to ensure that the building is not going to crack. Because we learned a lesson from our previous project that we did. We built another classroom at that particular school because the building was cut in half. So because they didn't do a good job when, of course, they didn't do soil testing, and they didn't reinforce with the methods that you can see. So learning from our past experience, of course, not as we built another organization, as we built a new classroom block, which we reinforced with methods. So we learned from that project that we did, and no wonder we actually did soil testing. But I want to mention that in other parts of the country, like in the plateau area, we don't need soil testing stand, because the soils are very stable in that area. So next slide. So of course, the main vision for Rising Fountains is to improve livelihoods of women and children in rural Zambia through community mobilization, partnership, capacity building, and advocacy. No wonder I said we believe in creating partnerships with a lot of organizations, because we know that together we'll be able to achieve the goal. So we actually create partnership, also build capacity in the people that we're working with in various areas. If we are doing financial inclusion, we build capacity in the local people. On financial inclusion, on education outcomes, we build capacity in the teachers and the people that we're working with, to ensure that together we can improve education outcomes. And there's actually a quote there: coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and therefore working together is success. So if we work together, we can succeed. Of course, on our own as Rising Fountains, if we work on our own, we cannot succeed. We cannot see progress. So working together actually brings success. It brings a lot of progress.
Yeah, just a couple of things. What was the literacy rate?
Come again?
What was the literacy rate? The literacy?
See?
Literacy. How many illiterate people are there?
Illiterate.
Yeah.
87 point. The literacy levels is actually 87.5%.
So there's 87% that are literate.
Yeah, those that can write short sentences about their lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means that we've got 23.5% who are illiterate, who cannot read or write. Yeah.
So the school came in June, and what's the impact of that?
So when we handed over the school, we had 100. When we started building the school, we had 187 children at this particular school, but immediately when we handed over the school, one of the outcome that we saw is the increase in the number of learners at this school. So we recorded actually a total increase of 49% increase. So from 187 to over 250 learners in the shortest period in actually 4 months. Okay, so this is one of the milestones that we achieved. This is the impact that the project has actually done on the actually in that particular area. And again, we have seen attendance rates increasing at school because now learners can go to school because they've got a desk where they can sit on. They've got a nice classroom block. Because before we constructed, and in the rain season, people were actually, children, when the rains come, they could stop classes because the roofs were leaking and they could not manage to continue learning. So they have to abandon classes, stop classes, children have to be sent home. And so children were not spending a lot of time in school because of the environment, but now they're able to spend a lot of time. So we can see number one, attendance rate actually increasing at school. We have also seen now community engagement has improved at school because there's a reason why community members have to come to school, and there's a reason why the parents actually have to come to school. So this was Zen before, and this is actually the current Zen. So everyone when is passing through this place, they're just amazed with the work that we did. And so we can also see a lot of children spending a lot of time now in school because they have a classroom block, which is very beautiful. So this is the impact that we have recorded, and we expect to see the impact at the end of this year, because we also want to measure impact in terms of progression rates of learners from grade 7 now to grade 8. We expect that because now they're able to concentrate in class, they are able to spend more time in school with the teachers. We expect that pass rates will increase. So the first year when we're going to measure actually this outcome indicator is actually this year, the next year, to see how the progression rate will be, how many children will be able to progress from grade 7 to grade 8, and now that we have got the facility at school. So these are some of the impacts that we have recorded because of the school. That is Magazine Primary School. I don't know if you've seen it before. The first school in Zambia that Coafrica built, and this is the second school that Coafrica built, and the third one here, Stan. The fourth one here, the fifth one.
That's what you're talking about. That's what he's asking us.
Yeah.
I'm going to build the second, the third, and the fourth.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
next slide.
Exactly.
So the future for Chitila Primary School. So we have a number of schools that are in the same state in Zambia. I only mentioned about one school. We have Chitila, I can remember Fomo. We have Kanyalubwe, is at my heart. We have Luasoku. We have Chiringoma, and we have another one, Kamburi Primary. So I've got 5 on standby. So Chitila is one of the schools that we have, and when we were actually handing over the Kuziani Primary School, the provincial minister mentioned that if you have the capacity, please assist that school. So the picture you're seeing is the whole lot of the school. That's a school. It has got 3 classroom blocks. Those are classroom blocks.
And they do staggered schedules, so they do
Yes.
morning has some group, and then
Yes.
the afternoon some other.
Yeah. So you can see 3 small huts and 1 outdoor space for classroom. So when we went there with Mercy, because there are only 3 small huts, the other class was actually learning under a tree, and the teacher was actually busy teaching under a tree because those were not enough. Because that school has got about 7 grades. So those are 3, which means that the other grades will come in the morning, the 3 grades will come in the morning, they occupy those 3 shelters, and the other 3 grades will come in the afternoon, they will occupy those shelters, but the other one they don't have where to sit, so they have to sit outside on the bricks, and so that is where they learn from. So school schedule, due to lack of classroom, split schedule for grade 7, take turns using a classroom. Closest nearby schools are 12 to 18 kilometers away. So that school is actually isolated, very far away, with a bigger community. And we drove there with Mercy. We drove there, and she knows actually, because we talk about and on the dust road, not the roads like you have in here in water. On the dust road, we drove and we went to that school. So the picture you're seeing, the 4 people that you're seeing there, is Mercy there. There was the man in a jacket and in a tie. He's actually the district education board secretary, the big boy in the education sector in the district. And the guy you can see there, number 4, is the guy who's speaking here. And the guy at the end is actually the district planner, the one who plans for the district. So all of them, we got them and we went with them actually to the site to ensure that we see the site and we speak to the community. The communities are very, very ready to contribute their part, because what we do is that we want actually community involvement and community ownership. So we don't want to do everything on our own. As Coafrica Rising Fountains, we say, okay, community, here we are. We have got a classroom block that we want to bring to you. What is it that you're going to do? Okay, so they bring, locally available materials that they manage to bring to the site, and they also provide unskilled labor to assist the bricklayers to when they are building. They also assist like drawing of water when the building is actually being constructed. So this school has got actually 327 students enrolled and 90% attendance rate at the school. Like that, children still coming. Okay, there's actually potential to increase the enrollment by 100 to 200 students from the local area, because the community is quite big, and because of the condition of the classes, so children are not able to come. So this is one of the schools that we are looking at helping, and the schools that I've mentioned, Kanyarubwe, Wasuku, are also in the same state. So we have got a lot of schools that are in the same state that need our support. Next slide. Yeah, so I think these are some of the schools. I think maybe you would have seen them before that Coafrica has constructed. And so our role is actually to spread the word about the work that we're doing, Rising Fountains and Coafrica. So we need to become advocates of building classrooms here in Utah. And why should we build classrooms? Number one, it improves education. Okay, so building classrooms in Zambia is important because it improves education, it reduces literacy rates, it creates a better future for children. So we need to be part and parcel of creating a better future for the children. So new classrooms can help improve learning outcomes and reduce the number of children who fail to complete their education. But again, it reduces illiteracy, and so building classrooms can help reduce illiteracy levels amongst the children. But it can also help the children to create a better future for the children. But again, it also helps the community to have somewhere where they can meet when they've got different types of meetings and different development interventions that they are discussing. They'll be able to meet at a school and discuss those development interventions. So building a classroom block has got a lot of outcomes amongst the populations and the children. So this is what I wanted to share with you this evening, that this is the job that we are doing in Zambia with Coafrica, and so we need to become advocates for this noble cause that we are doing.
Great,
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to also really quickly kind of reinforce what we at Coafrica do. And so in this particular case, at BYU, there's a whole bunch of return missionaries, and they all love to do social innovation. That generation is big into it. Really, it seems like more and more. And they're do good, better. They're always talking about impact. And for us, we feel that by building a classroom, we get commitments from the community, from the government. In this particular case, we found kind of the local nonprofit that knows what's going on. We get commitments from them about what the expectation is. And then we commit to them that we will build this school if they meet their commitments. And so we're doing the best to try and make sure we're in an environment where we have Africans making decisions that we support, and then they're helping Africans. And we talk about impact. And so when we build that school, we feel like it raises the level of the opportunity for kids to go to school. And a lot of the places we're at, we're down the road. We're not always down at the end of the road, but we're down the road. So we're helping people that really are in very poor circumstances. And what we do is when we build these coalitions, and if we have, this guy's wearing these different hats, so if we have Mary's Mills bringing porridge, if you can imagine, these kids aren't going to eat. And so they'll get one meal a day, probably for dinner. And so they go to school, they don't have any food. And if we build a school and we have a partner that's going to provide nourishment, they're going to have the nourishment to actually learn when they go to school. And then, so that's just a huge thing. And then really what we've done is we've had the local authority, so their organization surveys. He said, this school we just built has 50 villages. So they survey the villages and understand what the needs are. And the need in their mind was, we need a building to be able to promote and uplift everybody in this. And I don't know if these buildings are going to be used in the evenings or in other times for adult education as well.
They're being used, I said. They're being used.
Yeah. So the idea is really, we're doing our part, but we feel like our part's good, and what we're trying to do is push to get multiple parts together to really uplift that society in every way we can. Now, I wanted to talk about this, and quickly, I guess before I do that, does anybody have any questions for Matthews about what he's talked about? Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, I'm just so happy to be here today, and gratitude goes to Laura for inviting us, me and my husband. My name is Rohani and Joseph. I just really love what you're doing, so I commend you for what you're doing. But as you were talking, I have all these moving pieces in my mind, it's racing, And so the question I have is so when you pick this school and you say I like the fact you work in collaboration with the local communities, but what are the criteria that you are looking that they have to meet in order that they're not only that for the provision of the building, but truly to make sure there's a continuity of that quality of education that's sustainable by the same local community members. That way the kids are, as they go to school there, yes, they may, I also want to know, I guess this is another question too, is your goal to increase the literacy level to a level where they can learn to read and write and express themselves, or it's to push this kid to equally compete with other kids who are maybe in the city to have that level of quality of education to where they can truly push themselves and try it. Not that way. It's not when it still is a good thing, even if it's just read and write, but I was just curious if there's a little more push to a level where if this kids, let's say one of your students from that school move to Lusaka where they're gonna have to compete with all these other students, they might be a gap or what, but as they're still gonna thrive and at least,
Right.
be able to
Yeah.
post it that way. So I was just wondering whether.
Exactly. I mean, I think, and that's really a great example, is the kids in Lusaka are probably getting a more strong foundation in their education. So when they get to the levels of having to apply to the next level, they're more prepared. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is raise everything. And so in Zambia, they assign teachers and they send teachers wherever they go. And if the teacher's teaching in the huts and every third day it floods, they don't get very many chances to teach the kids. And they're on this on-off schedule because they don't have space. So they have to work in the morning and they have to work in the afternoon to teach the kids. So they're burned out. So the idea is when you build this, you're just creating an environment that's going to help them. It's not going to guarantee anything. But one of the things we try and do is we ask the community to provide 20%. So this is not a gift. This is the community's. We want the community asking for this. We want the parents to want education, which I know is a hard thing. But that's really what we're looking for, is we're looking for places that prioritize wanting their kids to be able to elevate their education. It's a big problem.
Yeah, but when you say 20%, does that come from the government? Who does that come from?
So really, and we're just in the throes of transition, but what we've said is 20% either financial or doing the work. And so all the groundwork up front and digging, what do they do there?
Yeah, so the 20% we're talking about consists the stones, sand, labor to dig the foundation and to help the builders actually to do the foundation. So when we add together, we call it 20% contribution, maybe 25% or 30%. It depends on what you have agreed with the community. So what we want is actually the community to be part and parcel of the project. They need to own the project. They should not say, this is the project for Coafrica. They have to say, this is our project, because they have actually been involved to construct this building. So that is where the 25% comes in. So it's from the community and not government. And so maybe to add on what Stan said, answering your question, I'm coming from the same background, of course. I grew up in a very remote, poor community, okay? And when you are talking, I was just thinking that if I had not gone to school, if I did not attend this education that I have today, I've got a bachelor's degree in development studies, I've got a master's degree in development studies. I'm doing a third master's degree in international cooperation and humanitarian aid. And I've got all this vast experience in social development. And all this I've acquired all this because of development. And now I am here. We have built that school because I was enlightened and had known who to approach for us to bring that development to that particular school. So I was thinking that if I was not educated, I did not get the education that I have today, Nkuzeni was not going to have that classroom block that they have today, because maybe there was not going to be someone else who was going to lobby for support to build the school. So why we are educating the children is to ensure that they can not only knowing to read and write, but also to complete their education, so that when they're enlightened, they'll be able to contribute to development in their local area. And so this is what we are doing. We have done a lot. Like when I founded this organization, we have done a lot of work in Zambia, which I feel if I was not educated, we were not going to do this work in Zambia. Okay, we have we have built schools. We have, I think you saw the other buildings in the video. Those are the kitchens that support school feeding program. Mary's Meal supporting school feeding program. Rising Fountains got the money from Coafrica to build a classroom block. We also got other partners who built some kitchens. So it's a complete package of the intervention that we're providing. So all this is done because there's someone by the name of Matthias who went to school and got the education, and now he's helping his local people in Zambia to reduce poverty levels, to increase replace levels, and of course contribute to development of that country. So that is what we want. So if we can have all the people educated, attend education, we know that they will help their communities to move them out of poverty, and people can become a somebody in life. Yeah. So that is why we are building these schools, to ensure that we can contribute to the reduction of poverty and improve the livelihoods of the people in the local communities.
Great, thank you. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, he has a question, but I wanted to really ask, like, okay, this is just so dear to me. Like, I'm really excited. Like, I just can't help myself. I'm sorry. Like, but like, so I guess I want to know, with having strategic partners, like I saw when you pointing out the big boys from the government, from the district, I was just wondering, like, how does that strategic partner is looking like? We understand, like, from the community that 20% looks like labor and all that they can be able to contribute, But then when it comes to with the government, the Ministry of Education for that district, how does that partnership looks like? Because I'm very much interested to know that to make sure, okay, there is this quality of education proceeding, and there's there's that capacity building for the community. If tomorrow that one teacher that they sent is not there, or like, or the training, is there training going on, or is there a promised state of period of time that this teacher will last for 2 years, this government sent teacher, or how are you bridging that gap, or is it made, or like how is that strategic partner?
I think one of the things we've learned, and there's been a lot of people that have built schools in Africa, a lot of private schools, and it's usually a founder, and when the founder loses interest, there's a lot of empty private school. There's a lot of unfinished projects in Africa too. What was astounding to me is about 20% of the buildings that I saw in Africa and Nigeria and Malawi were unfinished and not used. It's everywhere. And so for us, we decided we want to do public schools. We have an agreement. And so we had an agreement that we signed and said, this is what our responsibility is. This is what your responsibility is. And we're saying, like, we had a 49% increase in, at the start of the school year for this school. So it's like we have the government committing to say, we want the same or better student-teacher ratio. We'd love to say we want more qualitative teachers too, but honestly, those teachers are going to be more excited because they actually have a building to go into, and the weather is such a disruption. So I think we're limited on what we can manage, what we have control over, but we try to set those expectations up front, and we try to tell them, there can be more schools in your district if we can see that you're trying to elevate, and do your part. So I think it's hard, and there's a lot of difficult parts of dealing with this education there, but that's what we're trying to learn, and we learn through people on the ground. And that's what I wanted to talk about really quick is,
can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like what Stana said, we have the memorandum of understanding between all of us partners in the partnership. So the Ministry of Education has got a role to play. Their role is actually to ensure that teachers are sent to that particular school. If the school doesn't have enough teachers, during this partnership and collaboration, we advocate and lobby for teachers to be sent to that particular school, because we said, now we have given you a classroom block, and we cannot afford to not have teachers. Because if you give few teachers, we give you a classroom, and then there are no teachers, then there's nothing that we're doing. So we have to agree. It's a win-win situation. We give the classroom block, same teachers, so that there will be actually classes that will be going on. So the work of the Minister of Education is to ensure that there's actually there are teachers that are sent to that particular school, and that there are lessons that are taking place, and that they also provide, some textbooks. They provide some desks at the school, because Coafrica cannot provide everything. We know it's very expensive to build a classroom block. So we have given them actually a bigger chunk of the support, and government should also do something. So we also ask the community, we have given you a school. Your role is to take care of this building. Okay, in case anything breaks from now going forward, it is your role, your responsibility to ensure that you need to repair this. But again, what is important for you as a community is to ensure that the children are sent to school, because we cannot build a school and then tomorrow we discover that the number of learners at school is going down. They need to be sheer waste of resources. So we tell them, your role is to send the children to school. And that is why you have seen 49% increase in the number of learners at this school, because we told them this is your role. And so through this collaboration, we each partner in the partnership has got a role to play. And of course, before we do before we build, we also ask government to do the site. There are the people that does the siting, because they've got a qualified personnel who's a buildings officer, who provide actually policy guideline guidance on how to do their classrooms. So this is support that we get from the Ministry of Education. This is the role that they play. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Oh no, I think she's covered it for all of us.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say thank you very much for the work that you're doing. I'm also from Zambia originally. That's where I grew up. And
Awesome.
Which part of Zambia?
so I was born in Lusaka and raised in Lusaka. My mom is from Serenge. I grew up there for like 3 years. So when you were speaking, actually, we own a farm in Chisamba. There's that need. So the question I wanted to ask is like, what is the qualification criteria for a school to be built? Because when I look at the rural areas, they are not dense. They are sparsely populated. So how, from your organizational standpoint, which numbers do you use as a metric to say, okay, because anywhere, even if it's in Europe or the United States, rural areas, they are not packed. Like what numbers do you work with to say, okay, if we have 50, that's when we can go for this project. Which numbers do you use?
It's a great question, and I think each country is a little bit different. I wanted to mention, I'll answer your question, and if I don't, be sure and hit me. But so this is our coafrica.org website, and this is kind of our team. And so on top of our team is our project coordinators. So Mathis is Zambia, and honestly, the situations in each country are actually very different from one another. And actually how the relationships we have with these individuals are different. And so each one of these things are unique. But anyway, these people are the first people you see on our team, because they're the most important, because they are really the ones that are driving the decisions. They're on the ground and trying to figure that out. And I think what I would say is, like in Malawi, when we go into Lilongwe, I mean, when I was there in 2020, there was an article in the paper that I was reading where the World Bank or USAID was going to put up $200 million and they were going to fix all the schools in Lilongwe. So we feel like, okay, we don't need to take care of Lilongwe. So we leave the big cities, and the big cities are generally taken care of. And so we're out in the country, and it's a wild African safari everywhere you look. I mean, it's different in every country. And so one of the things we're doing starting now is we're saying, okay, in Western Africa, the GDP per person is significantly higher than it is in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. So in Western Africa, we're going to ask not only that 20% basically labor portion, we're gonna ask for 25% financial portion. So they have to come up with $12,000 to get a school built in Western Africa. In Southern Africa, we're still sticking with the 20% because it's not the government, really, the government just doesn't have money to spread around. They still prioritize the city. And it's a tough question you're asking because that government has to answer that question too. Do I take care of my kids in the city? Or, this area that's not very densely populated, do I try and take care of that? And so really, we're trying to push that. So I did want to mention that. And then down here is our board. And we have with us Laura A. And Laura's married to Will. Do you want to talk about Will real quick?
Yeah, my husband, he's from Gabon in Central West Africa. And just passionate about giving back to Africa throughout there, and we both have some experience in nonprofit, and he has an MBA.
So Laura has a Master's of Public Administration from BYU, and Will, her husband, has a degree from BYU and a Harvard MBA. We kind of make sure we get these smart people to help us out. But just a fantastic resource. And Gabon is not a country we're in, but very much involved in that. And then we have Vinbai. Vinbai, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am from Zimbabwe, and I also have a Master of Public Administration degree from BYU. I am part of the Coafrica board because education has basically brought me to where I am today, and so I know the value and importance of education to African children.
Yeah.
And having grown up as an orphan and benefiting from organizations having organizations like Coafrica come in and assist, that really helps to break the cycle of poverty and open doors of opportunities, and it just, it's just wonderful, amazing work that we do.
Great. Thank you, Vinbai. And then there's just one old person. And then Marcy is our director, and her husband is a Harvard Law guy. He went to Utah. But anyway, great people went down here. Sorry, and there's Isaac is my son as well. It's on the board. And then our advisory board right here. We're just, I don't know how up to date this is. Look at it later. Right here. So our advisory board, some of our program managers are on that, but people from different areas of the world and with different backgrounds, some architects, some people that can do actual construction, those kind of things. So anyway, what we want to kind of end with is the message that we love education. We love supporting kids in Africa and supporting and trying to raise up the level of education for those areas in the rural areas that we're dealing with. And that's our passion, and we hope it's your passion, but if it's not, we hope that your passion for doing things rises up. And what we'd like to do is we have a survey. We'd love for you to fill out the survey over there. We have books that show the projects we've done. We have lightly sugared refreshments for you. And we're just grateful that you came tonight, and just really thankful for the opportunity we have to share what we do and what we love, and would love to learn more and support those things that really are most meaningful to each one of us. So thank you very much. Let's give this great man if the surveys, a group photo. Yes, we need a group photo. Okay, so if you guys can move over here for a group photo, I think we can. Maybe you guys can stand up and just right behind the couch. Get everybody right behind the couch.